for science!
Science!
We're doing great as Raw rolls on. That's right, Raw. I'm gonna watch Raw after the stream is over. But all right, let's talk about some of these cards, huh? Biggity bam! We got ourselves an Ice Walker. It's a 2-mana 1/3 mage card with some text that it's a rare with some text that reads: your hero power also freezes the target. So obviously, freeze is a you know, a big new mechanic in Knights of the Frozen Throne. Is this a good card? No. Is it a fair card? Yes. Is it a bad card? No. I think this card is like right down the middle. This could enable some combinations of things. I think it's a card that's going to be very good in Arena. Just because the ability to just play a 2-mana card later in the game and then use your hero power to freeze something and push face damage could be very valuable. As far as constructed goes, we're gonna need a little more than this. Obviously it enables shatter, but yeah, like you can ping stuff, but you're still spending 2 mana in the early game. You're freezing things, so you're stalling things out. But you're still just playing a 2-mana 1/3, and a 2-mana 1/3 is just not good. So this is another wait and see card, which I really like that the set has given us a lot of wait and see cards. But there's definitely usefulness here. This is definitely a card that has usefulness. So Mega Henzoid says, early game freezing is like making your opponent miss a turn. Yes, but spending 2 mana to freeze something in the early game is almost like making yourself miss a turn as well. So you got to remember that. So it's this isn't like some OP ass card or anything. It's also an elemental though, which is definitely something to note. So we'll see kind of where mages go, but there's usefulness here. This is a fair card. This is a totally fine card. Meat Wagon, 4 mana, neutral, epic, 1/4 for 4 mana. Terrible stat line. Death Rattle, summon a minion from your deck with less attack than this minion. So obviously you look at it, and just on its base stats, summoning something with 0 attack is generally not so great. But for Shaman, there's some really good totems you could get that have 0 attack. I really think though that this is a card that we're looking at that is going to make a lot more sense in a hand buff paladin. Hand buff paladin is going to be able to buff this up to, you know, like a 2/5, a 3/6, that kind of stuff, and then Death Rattle summon a minion to the board from your deck. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to thin your deck as far as minions are concerned. And your deck's going to be full of minions. And they're all going to be minions that do something. There's something there. Does that mean this makes it into hand buff paladins? And does this mean that hand buff paladin is a thing you play anyway? I like to believe that hand buff paladin is going to have its time in the sun here during this Knights of the Frozen Throne era. But generally this is a bad card with potential to do something very cool in the right deck. So I'm going to go ahead and just rate this as like wait and see, because I don't think we can say good or bad based on the information we currently have. But summoning a minion, like pulling a minion out of your deck, essentially thinning your deck, like these are all things that can be very useful. It is a mech. Yeah, it is a mech. So maybe you could do a hand buff wild mech paladin. Sure. Maybe that's the thing. Very cool card, though. I love the idea behind this card. I love the design of this card. And I'm definitely gonna toy around with this bad boy. I think it's got something there. There's something there. 6 mana, 5/3 neutral common, Necrotic Geist. When one of your other minions dies, summon a 2/2 ghoul. So 6 mana, 5/3 is obviously a pretty terrible stat line. So we'll just start there. That being said, this card feels kind of like Cult Master to me, where like Cult Master draws you cards. This gives you tempo on the board, but you're also paying 6 mana for a 5/3. So I don't feel like it's very good because you're going to have a board, be able to trade that board, and then spend 6 mana putting this on the board before you do those trades. So as far as constructed is concerned, I'm not seeing a lot of really high potential here. But in Arena, this is a card that's actually going to come up quite often and is going to do stuff. 2/2s aren't terribly useful, but they're not terribly unuseful either. They're fine. Like, if you can make at least one other 2/2, you're spending 6 mana for essentially 7/5 worth of stats. A 6 mana 7/5 would be middling at best, but if you could get 2 minions to die, so maybe you find a use for this in a deck that just builds a lot of token generation and then uses those tokens to kill things off. So again, I'm thinking hand paladin. I'm thinking some sort of a token druid type thing. You could make more tokens. There's something there, but it really feels more like an arena card to me. Not a lot of super excitement around this card, but something is potentially there. Very cool artwork, by the way, on this card. Cobalt Scalebane. We got a 5 mana 5/5. It's a neutral common. It's a dragon. At the end of your turn, give another random friendly minion +3 attack. Well, hell, man. I'm playing an 8/5 for 5 that has the ability to kind of stick on the board, and it's like an engine type of card. I feel again though like we're looking at an arena card here when we look at this card. I don't believe you're going to see much of this card in constructed. It is a dragon, so there's something there maybe with that, but there hasn't been a lot of dragon synergy yet outside of what we already have. So this feels again like very much like an arena card, and but a 5/5 for 5 is never terrible. It's always going to be at least okay. And because of the fact that it happens at the end of your turn and not the beginning of your next turn, things like that, you're at least getting the +3 attack immediately. However, you're also giving your opponent, like, you play this, you end your turn, your opponent gets the chance to respond to your board before you get to. But it still does something that could be very useful. And in Arena, I feel like we're going to see a lot of board tension. Obviously, we still have Tar Creepers, and we still have things like that stall your board out. So it feels to me like what this really is a strong turn 5 play when you're ahead, and a pretty weak play when you're behind. But it's not like win more, but it's like get a win, like secure the win when you're ahead. That's kind of how it feels to me. So I think we're going to see a lot of this in Arena. As far as constructed, not seeing a lot of great uses there. All right. This is a card a lot of people have been talking about. Warlock 2-drop. It's an epic. 2 mana 2/3. So, 2 mana 2/3. Totally fine. Battle Cry, remove the top card from your opponent's deck. So you're essentially milling a card. And obviously that could be good or it could be totally inconsequential. If you pull a really important card off the top of your opponent's deck and then they don't get to have it the next turn, that could be great. On turn 2, though, oftentimes they're going to have mulliganed for a pretty light board anyway. So maybe you'll get a really good card with this, but most of the time you won't. It's a very cool card, though, because it's like insta-mill. And I think there's going to be a lot of bad play. This is a bit of a trap card. There's going to be a lot of bad players who are going to overvalue the shit out of this card. They're going to think this card is so insane. Because look, I take a card out of your deck, but I don't actually take a card out of your hand. And I don't actually get a bunch of bonuses to my stats. So the battle cry could oftentimes just be completely inconsequential. So this is like a card that's just kind of a fun little addition that could do things. There's not really a mill warlock out there. So there isn't like a mill warlock thing that's going to happen. Obviously, you could, like in Wild, you could brand this and then mill 2 cards. But milling cards is not as strong as people often think. So this is just another, it's like a fair card. Like, I love the design of this card because it does something kind of cool that could sometimes be very cool. And it's just totally fair. Like, what it does is totally fair. It's not going to be broken at all. So I like the card. I think it's very. I think this is a very cool card. If another card comes along that gets you to put a specific card on top of your opponent's deck and then mill that, then you really got something. So maybe we're setting up for a card in a future expansion that pairs with the Gnomish Vampire. But even if you don't, it's just like an okay 2-drop in Arena, and it's just like a card that doesn't do anything other than basically play a 2/3, but still is like potentially super fun. And I think it's I think it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't, also, by the way, I want to point out, it doesn't say like discard the top card from your opponent's deck, because we have seen the Warlock Hero Power, which summons all the discarded cards, or the Warlock Hero card, yeah. And this, if it said discard, I think that would make some more implications. But I think it's very cool. I think it's very cool. I like it. Valkyr Soul Claimer, 3 mana, 1/4. Whenever this minion survives damage, summon a 2/2 ghoul. So you can't play this. A 3 mana 1/4 is obviously not a great stat line, but a 3 mana 1/4 often won't die in one hit when you play it on turn 3. So it will oftentimes turn into essentially a 3 mana 3/6, right? Because it's going to be hard to kill it outright when you play it on turn 3. So there is definitely something here. Hand buff warrior isn't really a thing, even though they are part of the buffing third of the mean streets of Gadgetzan clan. However, I don't think this card is going to be OP. I think it's going to be just a fine card. I don't think we're going to see constructed play here. I think we're still going to see aggressive warrior decks and super control warrior decks. So you're going to either have to like damage it yourself, which obviously we have seen there's some more ways to damage your own cards. So whirlwind effects are going to give you extra 2/2s, and that's great. But because of the fact that you still just have to play it onto the board, then do the whirlwind effect, it's not going to be overpowered. It's not going to be something totally broken, but it is going to give you some potential to do some cool stuff with whirlwind effects, which is what we needed based on what we've already seen so far from Warrior. So, yeah, I think there's something in there. There's something there. Yeah, you could blood to Acre this and get double 2/2s, absolutely. But you'll probably on most times end up getting 1 2/2 out of this, which means you're most of the time getting a 3 mana 3/6, which is good, right? Especially spread out across a couple of bodies. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty decent card. All right, we got a 3 mana 2/2 for Hunters. Battle Cry. Discover a copy of a minion in your deck. Well, hell, you know what Hunters have always struggled with? Card draw. You know what this card does? Draws cards. You know what it also does? It draws you specific cards that are the good minions that are going to do well for you. It's going to help you curve out. If it was a beast, then I would see some problems with this card. But because it's not a beast, you can't play this on 3 and then Houndmaster it on turn 4. So again, totally fair card. Blizzard has been doing an amazing job printing fair cards that do really cool things. I really like this card a lot. And obviously, if you can find your Savannah Highmanes, then you're talking extra Savannah Highmanes. And who doesn't want extra Savannah Highmanes? However, on turn 3, who wants to play a 2/2? Not very many people. So, again, totally a fair card. This could be a very useful card for the Death Knight type hunter. Death Knight hunters just want to essentially extend the game out, right? And being able to kind of draw cards. It doesn't like thin the deck, but it pulls more stuff out of your deck. And if it finds you 4 mana 3/3s that death rattle into 1/1s, it helps you curve out, right? So there's definitely something in there. It's not OP. It's definitely not OP, but I think it's a good card. And I think in Arena, this is going to be a very solid card. I like the fact that Hunter's being pushed a little bit away from being just a straight-up aggro deck. So I'm all about this card. I'm definitely going to give this... I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give this a go. Not OP, not terrible. Just a good card. Just a good card. 3-mana 2/2 draws you a card. We got ourselves a 5-mana 5/4 neutral. It's a common. Battle Cry. Give adjacent minions +2 health. Well, 5-mana 5/4 is bad, but 5-mana 5/8 is good. When you spread the 5/8 across 2 other minions, you're talking kind of like a Defender of Argus. Like a Defender of Argus effect. And in Arena, this is going to be dope. In Arena, this is going to be like a super high rated card. In Constructed, I don't think you're going to see much of this card. It doesn't do what Defender of Argus does, which obviously giving Taunt can help you like save yourself towards the end of a game when you're trying to get to some sort of win condition, right? But in Arena, where I think we're headed towards a situation where there's going to be a lot of board battling, we're definitely moving towards a situation where in Arena, there's going to be a lot of board tension, board states where minions just kind of stick a little longer than we've seen in the past. This card's going to be very good in Arena, I think. Like, very good in Arena. Constructed-wise, nah, not really. Not much. Not much there in Constructed, because Constructed decks are all going to be built around a specific game plan. This is built around a board-centric game plan. You could maybe see this in something like a Token Druid, who just wants to make some of their... wants to make like some of their board a little stickier, and this is definitely going to help with that. But outside of that type of a deck in Constructed, I'm not seeing much here. But dude, Arena is going to get very interesting, because there's going to be so many times where you're just setting up your board for the essential for the inevitable bone mare, right? Snowball the game out of control, and the board states are going to get really complex. It's going to force a lot more people to start making trades rather than just going face, which we've seen a lot of in Arena these days. Is like you get a little bit ahead and then you just start ignoring your opponent's board and you just go face. In Arena, you're going to have to kill things off because of this potential. Because of cards like Sunborn Valkyr. Because of cards like Bone Mare. You cannot just leave cards on the board. Even against non-paladins, right? Even against things like that. So, I think this is a really cool Arena card, but not a Constructed card. Okay, guys. This is the one everybody wanted to hear my opinion on, I think. I am the milkshake guy, right? I'm the milkshake guy. I'm the originator of the milkshake deck. I'm the guy who's kind of kept it going as a thing. It's not a good deck. Archbishop Benedictus, 7 mana, 4/6. Battle cry: shuffle a copy of your opponent's deck into your deck. So obviously this is going into my milkshake deck. Obviously. I mean, not even a question. This is going into my milkshake deck 100% right off the bat. I've heard a lot of people have tweeted me, you better craft a golden version of this right away. This card is so fun, right? Like this is as fun as cards get. You know what I mean? This is as fun as cards can ever get. However, if I'm really being real here, is this card actually good? No. No. This card is bad. It's a 7 mana 4/6. So you're paying 7 mana for a 4/6 minion. That's terrible. The battle cry actually does nothing to the current board state. It doesn't put cards into your hand. It only puts them into your deck. Not only that, it puts them into your deck, and they might not even be cards you want to draw. Because the other guy's deck is doing things you might not necessarily want to be doing. And I've heard a lot of talk about, oh, what about control mirrors? Well, control mirrors in the current state of Hearthstone don't often go to fatigue as often as people might think. They do get to the bottom of the deck, but they don't go to fatigue to the same extent that they used to, where whoever was ahead in fatigue was then suddenly going to win. It's just a bad card. It's just a bad card. In general constructed Hearthstone play, this is going to be a bad card. And it should be a bad card because this is a meme card. And it should be a meme card. So when I play priest mirror matches, we're going to meme the shit out of each other. But we're certainly not going to like win because I played Archbishop Benedictus. Such a fun ass card though, like so fun, just so fun, and I'm gonna love playing this card in my milkshake deck. I'm very excited about that. You build your milkshake deck to just be ultra control, ultra late game, and then you never run out of cards. They do. I'm also looking forward to when I play against other priests who play this, and we Benedictus into Benedictus into Benedictus and blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's so cool. It's a card you can only print in a game like Hearthstone, a digital card game. Couldn't print this in Magic. I'm so happy that they made this card, and I'm so happy they statted it as they did. If this was even if this is a 7 mana 5/6, it might be like a little ridiculous. I like it. I think they did the right thing here with this card. This is how you design meme cards. Very, very cool, man. Very cool. And I will play the hell out of this card on my stream. So people who like my stream, look forward to lots and lots of Archbishop Benedictus games because I'm in. The thing is, you got to understand, like, you're never going to be playing this until turn 7, which by that point there's at least 10, 12 cards drawn. So you're only shuffling, 20 cards at best into your deck. You're not shuffling 30 brand new cards in. This card is so freaking cool, man. I love this card so much. Yeah, if you craft a golden one, all of the ones you shuffle in are going to be golden. Phantom Freebooter, 4 mana 3/3 pirate. It's a rare. Battle cry, gain stats equal to your weapons. I think this is the kind of pirate card that we should have been seeing from the get-go. Like, why were we getting patches when they could have been printing Phantom Firebooters, right? This converts aggro pirates into like mid-range pirates, which is where I think the deck really belongs. It's a you know, it's like a Murloc type synergy deck, right? Pirates synergize with pirates. But cards like Patches, cards like Nizosphorus Mate, they just kind of made the deck, like, I would say unfair, right? They push the deck into like these, you got these god draws sometimes. Here's a card that if you don't have a weapon equipped is just an unplayable 4-mana 3/3. But if you do have a weapon equipped, let's say you've played a Fiery War Axe on turn 3, then you upgraded it on turn 2, then you upgraded on turn 3, and now you just played a 7/5 for 4. Man, what a cool like way to make mid-range Pirate Warrior a thing. I could see this being very good in certain arena drafts as well, but Pirate Synergy decks, they should be like mid-range type decks. They shouldn't just be like blatant aggro decks. So, yeah, this is the way they should have been designing Pirates the whole damn time. I love it. I love it. I think this card is fucking great. Definitely going to see play in a mid-range style Pirate deck. Mostly Warrior, but maybe this will make other weapon classes be able to play Pirates. Imagine if you play Rogue and you play Pirate Rogue and you have a 1/2 weapon up and you get a 4/5 with this guy. And it's a pirate, so it has pirate synergy. There's stuff there. There's very much stuff there. So this card is gonna be toyed with quite a bit. And it's not gonna break pirates. It's not gonna make pirates insane. I think a card like Patches was bad. Patches was bad for pirates. This is good for pirates, so I love it. All right, 6-mana priest card, Embrace Darkness. 6-mana epic priest spell. Choose an enemy minion at the start of your turn. Gain control of it. So you gotta put this on a minion, an enemy minion, and then it needs to live. Then on the next turn, you get it. So this is worse than Entomb for sure. Because Entomb, pick the card off the battlefield, put it in your deck without its death rattle going off, and costs the same amount of mana. Now Entomb was super annoying to play against. So I'd rather see cards like Embrace Darkness than Entomb. It's going to force them to essentially take that minion and then trade with it rather than like going face, right? But you're really only going to get value if you can hit a minion that they can't kill off. But it is going to still trade. It is going to force your opponent to change how they play their next turn. However, this is going to be a completely dead card against any aggro matchup. So this is only going to be really good in control matchups where they drop a giant-ass minion. That being said, there's some use to this card. As like a tournament-style card, as a one-of, I can see it. But I don't think it's good. Again, I think we're finding ourselves in the fair slot here, right? And that's where I want the cards to land. Totally fair. At 5 mana, this might be broken. At 6 mana, I think it's totally fair. So I'm pretty happy with this card as like a card to be printed. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play, but as cards kind of go away, as things rotate in and out, this is going to be one of those cards where it's like, what are my options to deal with board states? What are my options to deal with 4 attack minions? Well, here's one, right? Whereas Entomb, I think, was like a little, it reached a little too far. And I think this card is a perfect card because it allows your opponent a little counterplay. and then you get the card back anyway. So, I think it's a very cool card. Not OP at all, definitely not, but kind of cool. 3 mana 2/5 Mind Breaker, neutral rare card. Hero powers are disabled. Well then. So you look at this card and you think immediately, what am I countering with this? I'm countering like Taunt Warrior. Taunt Warrior or Quest Warrior that turns their hero power into an 8/8. Or, sorry, an 8 damage fireball. The other thing I want to point out is that because we're introducing all these Death Knight cards that have these OP-ass hero powers, we should probably at the same time introduce a card that stops them in their tracks, right? This definitely does that. And a 3 mana 2/5 in a vacuum is kind of okay. It's like an okay stat line, right? So I love this card for Arena. I think it's going to do a lot of things in Arena. The fact that it turns off your hero powers as well is very important. It doesn't say enemy hero powers are disabled. It turns off your hero power, right? So that's important. This is going to be a useful Arena card for sure. But it's a useful single counter card. But again, it's totally fair. Holy shit, Blizzard, you're printing fair cards. Wow. What a concept. Like it's not OP. It's totally fine. Wow. I'm so proud of you, Blizzard. I'm so proud of you, Blizzard. You're really you're doing the right things here. A 3 mana 2/5. What a concept. Hard to kill, right? I don't think I'd ever run 2 of these. I can't see a deck where I'd want 2 of these, but I could definitely see this being a one of in decks that just want the ability, especially against what might be like a glut of DK decks, turning those off, right? So yeah. If DK hero powers became a problem, like what if there was a card that they printed in Journey to Ungoro that said disable the quest while it's alive? That would have been a great way to counter Quest Rogue, right? A 3 mana 2/5 that said disable all quests, so they couldn't build on their quest until they dealt with that card. So first they'd have to deal with the card, then they'd have to go back to doing their quest. Maybe Quest Rogue wouldn't have been such a big deal, right? I don't know. This card is awesome. This card is great. Is this card like super sweet and OP? No. Is this card gonna see a ton of constructed play? No. Is this card super cool and does something very cool? Yes. That's what I want to see, man. I want to see cards that do things like this, that don't do them in broken ways. Oh, here we go. I've seen a lot of talk about this card. 3 mana, Crypt Lord, 1/6 Druid. Common. It has taunt. It says, after you summon a minion, gain 1 health. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this card just opening up Token Druid and making this card like this is insane. Token Druid is just gonna dominate the ladder because of the Crypt Lord. I don't think so. First of all, I'll okay. It has 1 attack and the attack doesn't grow. Yes, the deck does run a lot of board buffs. Yes. So obviously when you can board buff it, it'll be stronger, but you're going to have to spend a couple of cards on that to make that happen. Most of the time what's going to happen is druids are going to like play a few things Then they're going to throw up a Crypt Lord. Then you're going to still play your few things, or maybe you're just going to kill this or whatever. On turn 4, you're not playing like 3 minions very often. Sometimes this is going to allow you to snowball your board. Yes. So this card has the potential to sometimes allow Druid token boards to get out of hand. Yes. But most of the time, this is going to be a 3-mana, 1/6 that never value trades with anything and allows your opponent to value trade with them. So I'm gonna throw this card into the wait and see category because I think we're gonna have to see this card in action before we can really determine how good or bad this effect is. If it was +1 attack every time you played a minion, this would be insane. But +1 health means it's always going to be a 1 attack minion until you board buff it. It does open up some kind of zoo potential for Druid, and I wouldn't mind seeing Druid be more zooey than just all in. Because right now the way Druid aggro works, they're just fucking all in, man. You know. So I think there's something there, and again, I feel like totally fair. What about with Mana Treants? Well, okay, let's imagine that scenario. Let's say you play this on turn 3. Turn 4, you can't play Living Mana unless you coin it. And if you coin it, you get 4. So you turn it into a 1/10. Is a 1/10 that broken? When they also deplete their own mana pool? I don't think so. I don't think that's broken. So let's say you play this on turn 3, and then on turn 4 you play like a couple of token generating cards, and then you also buff them with some board buffing stuff. Is that broken? You turn it into like what? Maybe like a 2/8? Which your opponent, by the way, you've already had to play it on 3, and then your opponent's had a chance to kind of like deal with it and play some stuff of their own. Is that broken? I don't think so. I don't think so. What about with the new Swarm card that spawns other taunts? Well, first of all, it only is going to spawn a ton of taunts if you play a whole bunch of dudes. So Slam and Jay says, I would run a Tar Creeper over this. And I kind of agree with you. Until we see this card in action, it feels like Tar Creeper is better. The reason why Tar Creeper is better is that Tar Creeper on your opponent's turn forces your opponents to actually suicide minions. Whereas this card, none of their minions are going to die to this card. So even though this looks very strong on the surface, when we actually see this card in action, it's not going to be that strong, I think. I think it's an okay card that does see inclusion in Token Druid because of what it potentially allows you to do. It has a lot of potential, but will not oftentimes. It's not going to break the game. It's like a card. Living Mana is a card that has sick potential, but doesn't break the game. So I put it in that category, right? Where it sees play, but it doesn't cause you to win or lose the game, right? It gives you a chance. But more often than not, it's just like an average card at best. And that's going to be fine. And that's fine. Crafting cards, printing cards that are average at best are totally fine. Shareable Texas said 2 more cards, Dills. 2 more cards. What do you mean 2 more cards? Oh, were there more cards that we... Oh, shit. We did a refresh, boys. All right, here we go. Thrall Deathseer. Well, look at that. Battle Cry. Transform your minions into random ones that cost 2 more. So 5 mana, double evolve. So evolve does minions 1 more, right? Cost 1. So this costs 5 and does 2 more. So you pay 5 times the mana. 5 times the mana, but you get +2. And you get, so it's like, so actually you're paying 2.5 times the mana. Okay, cool. Cool. What's the hero power? Transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more. So you get your hero power from then on. Hey. So your hero power from then on is essentially a 2 mana evolve on 1 minion. Well, yeah, and you get the 5 armor. 2 mana evolve 1 minion is not good, by the way. That's actually not good. Hey, stop. Yeah, Iggy loves this card. Come here, come here, come here. Oh, he's being super cute, my friends. He's being super cute. By the way, subs. I'm gonna recognize you as soon as we're done with the card review. But here's the thing, though. 2 mana evolve. Hey, stop. 2 mana evolve a minion can be incredible when you've made trades with existing minions. It stops you from the ability to play minions anymore, though, for free, because you don't get to put totems on the board anymore. So you have to have a deck that plays minions. Now, the fact that this costs 5 mana means you could, potentially, on turn 10, Doppelgangster Thrall Deathseer and get 3 7-drops. That could be pretty sick. That could definitely be pretty sick. And I will say, it's probably going to be hard for them to remove 3 7-drops. So likely, on the next turn, you'll probably be able to evolve one of them again. But that deck isn't really necessarily built to go to turn 10. So if you're playing Thrall Deathseer and your deck is built around evolving, are you really trying to get to turn 10? This is a good card. This is a very good card. Because your deck is going to be built around generating tokens. And then your hero power is going to suddenly be able to take advantage of said tokens. This is a good card. Again, though, I actually think it's a totally fair card. I think it's a totally fair card. You know, it's a legendary, so it's a one of by default. Yeah, no, this is a good card. If you're playing Evolve type Shaman, it's going to turn Evolve Shaman into a little bit more of a control style deck that's just looking to get value in the late game and looking to play cards that generate tokens. This might bring some cards into the meta that don't currently see play in the meta. And this is a very strong effect as the game goes on. I wonder if this deck even plays Bloodlust. I wonder if it just tries to kind of win the attrition war as the game goes into the late game. It's very possible. This might just be like a control shaman, because right now the way we see evolved shaman work is they just try to build a bunch of early game, and then they try to evolve them at some point. They try to evolve them, and then they try to bloodlust you out. This might turn that style deck into more of an attrition battle, where you just build boards and at some point evolve them, and then have the hero power that just turns every minion you play. You can play minions with battle cries and then turn their bodies into like better bodies. You know, I wish I could say that this card was like broken good, but I don't think I can. I think the only thing I can say about this card is that it is another wait and see card. It is definitely 100% a wait and see card. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's fucking fantastic. I think this card is super good. It definitely brings a lot of RNG though back, but Shaman is like the ultimate RNG class anyway, right? They always have been. So, do I hate the fact that RNG is still going to be a huge factor in Shaman? Not really. No, not really. By the way, Totems getting +2, not going to be so terrible when they can never become Doomsayers, right? This card is so good. This card is super cool. I love this card, man. I love this card. I'm going to play the shit out of this deck. All right. Last card on the docket for the night. We got ourselves a 5-mana 5/3 epic neutral minion, Tomb Lurker. Battle Cry. Add a random Death Rattle minion that died this game to your hand. So for 5 mana, you play a 5/3, and then you get a Death Rattle minion. So you get a specific minion that's died this game, and you put it in your hand. So specific card draw has always been a cool thing. Again, this is a fair card. Is that for your opponent's deck as well? Yeah, it's add a Death Rattle minion that died this game to your hand. So it could be an opponent's Death Rattle minion as long as they've died. However, I'll say this. Death Rattle Priest. Death Rattle Kazakus Priest. That's probably where I see this card landing. Death Rattle Kazakus Priest. Quest. Kazakus Priest. Just putting more Death Rattles into your hand, right? Allowing you to get to your quest as fast as possible. You play a pretty weak minion, but, you know, aggressively statted, so it's not terrible. It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine card. You know the beauty of this, though, is it itself doesn't come back with N'Zoth. So you don't N'Zoth back a 5/3. Yeah. I think that's where it goes. Yeah, you don't summon it. You draw it, essentially. So you got to play it again. But there are going to be some good cards that could come back. Again, just a fair card. Like I don't want to live in a world where cards are only good when they're broken, you know? I liked living in a world where cards are fair And this is a totally fair card, which could see play, could not see play. Did I say Nazi? I did. And I think that's, I think that's where shit goes. The other thing too is you could put specific Death Rattle minions into your deck. Syndragosa tokens don't have... Oh, they do have Death Rattle. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, you're right. They do have Death Rattle. Yeah, so, I mean, there's interesting ways to make this work, right? I did say Nazi play. I don't know, man. I think I'm very excited right now, guys. Based on what we've seen so far from this set, this might be the greatest Hearthstone meta we've ever seen. There is nothing completely broken here. Everything seems fair. Everything seems like there's going to be counterplay to it. And I, for one, want that to be how the game works. I don't want a bunch of broken shit. I want some shit that allows us to have a back and forth. This could be the greatest Hearthstone meta we have ever seen. There are so many cards that do cool things that we haven't seen yet. And none of them do it in a way that's completely overpowered. Isn't that what we want? Like when we evaluate these cards and we say, oh, that card's not that good. Isn't that okay? I feel like that's okay, right? I don't want to see a bunch of cards that are like completely insane. I don't want to see a bunch of Dr. Booms. This review stream made for a bad drinking game. Can't drink on broken or crap cards if they're all fair. But dude, they're all fair, and that's fantastic. Going forward, Hearthstone looks to be in a very healthy place.